example 3, multiply. These are a little bit more work, but the process is the same. So first we're going to take this one. There's a 1 out in front, and we're going to multiply it by all of these. So I've got a 3, and then there's an x to the 4, and then 1 times negative 3 is another negative 3, and then there's 3 x's, and then 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, and there's 2 x's. Next we can take, and maybe what I'll do here is I'll erase those, and so we can, just to see how we're doing this, we'll do that. So negative 2 times 3 is going to be a negative 6, and there's 3 x's. Negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6, and there's 2 x's. And negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2, and there's an additional x. I'm definitely running out of room here, so I'm going to have to shift this over. I will do this last one here. We'll multiply this in. Negative 3 times 3 is going to be negative 9, and there's 2 x's. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9 with 1 x. And then negative 3 times 1 is a positive 3. So I've got a lot of stuff here. I'm going to shift everything over. Okay, let's now see which things are alike. So I know I have only 1x to the 4. It's a 3x to the 4. So just a single one of those. So I've got 3x to the 4. And then I have how many x cubed? So I've got a negative 3x cubed there, and a negative 6x cubed there, for a total of negative 9x cubes. I do have a negative 1x squared, and negative 9x squared, and a 6x squared. So that's going to be 5. 5 minus 9 is negative, oh, it's not, yeah, negative 4x squared. I'll just double check that in a moment here. But I've got a 2x and a 9x. Those are alike as well, for a total of 11 x's. And then there's an additional 3 at the end. So that's what I think my final answer is, and I will just verify. Yeah, that looks good. So again, I just took the first thing and I multiplied it over. Then I took the second term and I multiplied that, distributed that all the way through, and then I took the negative 3 and distributed that all the way through. So that's how all of that works. There's 9 different multiplications. So let's try again. We'll do another one here. So we'll start by taking this one, and we're going to distribute it into everything. So negative 2 times 4 is going to be a negative 8, and then there's 5 x's, and then a positive 6 with 4 x's, and the last one, negative 2 and negative 1, positive 2 with 3 x's. Okay, next I've got the blue, I think. Okay, yeah, blue. So I will multiply this in 3 times. So 2 times 4 is going to be an 8 with 4 x's. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 with 3 of them. And then negative 2 with 2 x's. So lastly, well, I'll go like this. I'll multiply this in. So negative 5 times 4 is going to be a negative 20 with 3 x's, then a positive 15 with 2 of them, and then a positive 5 with a single x. So we've got a lot of things going on, just like the last question, so we need to see which ones are alike. Now I know there's only one of these x5s, and so let's write that down. There's a negative 8 x5, and if you want to, you can kind of cross them off as you go along. I'm not going to cross them off, but it is there. I've got a 6x4 and a 8x4, which gets you 14 x to the 4. And then I've got an x cubed, 2 of them, and then a negative 6x cubed and a negative 20x cubed. So I've got 2 minus 6 is minus 4 with another 20, so it's a minus 24 x cubed. I'll just double check that after. And then I've got an x squared, negative 2, and then a positive 15 for a total of positive 13 x squareds, and then a 5x at the end. So let me just see if that's correct. Yes, it is. So that is good. So again, we took this first term, this negative 2x cubed, and we multiplied it in. And then we took the 2x squared and we multiplied or distributed that in. And then we took the negative 5x and distributed that. Okay, last question here. I like these ones. So one of the things you don't want to do is take this 2x, multiply it in, and multiply it in. That's not what we're doing here. You can't take this binomial and multiply it by here and here. That's like saying, say we had 2 times 3 times 4. Now we should know what this is. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. So this is 24. But say you wanted to go, oh, I'm going to multiply 2 times that, which is 6, and then 2 times 4, which is 8, and you multiply those, 6 times 8 is 48. And, well, that's not the same as 24. So you can't multiply one bracket by both of the other ones. You got to multiply just the first two, and then you can multiply the one after that. So that's what we'll do. We'll multiply these two together first, and then we'll multiply the other one. Now you could, if you wanted to, multiply these two together first. Doesn't really matter which way you do it, but we're going to do mine left to right. So we'll start with the left ones and then make our way to the right. So let's do 2x times 3x, which is going to be 6, and then there's 2 x's, an x squared. And then 2x times negative 1, which is going to be a negative 2x. Then there's 3x times 3, which is a total of 9x. And 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So that's me multiplying the first binomial times the second binomial. And then, of course, we have to still do the 3 minus x. Now, if you wanted to, you could multiply all of these things in, but we do see that there are some things that are alike. The negative 2 and the positive 9. So I'm actually going to combine those. So I've got a 6x squared, then a 7x minus 3. So I've just combined the negative 2 and the positive 9. And I still have my 3 minus x. Now I can take this and distribute it in. So I've got the 6x squared, which I'll multiply in. That'll give me a 18 with an x squared. And there's a 1 here, so 6 times negative 1 is a negative 6. And then 3 x's. If you wanted to, by the way, you could put that 1 in there. Then what I'll do is I'll take the 7 and I'll multiply that in. So 7 times 3 is 21 with an additional x. And then 7 times negative 1 is a negative 7 with 2 x's. And then we can now take the negative 3 and we can multiply that in. So negative 3 times 3 is going to be a positive, nope, it's going to be a negative 9. And the negative 3 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 3 with an x. So we need to combine now some like terms, if there's anything alike. So I see this negative 6x cubed. It's the only x cubed in there, so I'll write that down, negative 6x cubed. Now I do have an 18x squared and a negative 7x squared, which get me a positive 11x squareds. And then I see a 21x and a 3x, which will get me a 24x. And then there's an additional minus 9 at the end. So is this more or less difficult than the previous two? It's just a little bit different. You have to multiply just the first two binomials together, and you can get this pretty large 4-term bracket, a polynomial. However, that can be simplified to a 3-term, a trinomial, and then you can multiply that trinomial times a binomial. So I don't think it's that much. Let me just verify here that it actually is correct, though. So that's something I need to just check. So yes, it is correct. And so that's it. Those are the only questions. I don't know if there's any more in this chapter, but again, from the previous video, you should be working on the worksheets to get your own practice.